Good morning. Welcome to our live show, Making Meaning. My name is Natalia Hirong, and I'm going to be your host. I'm a member of the talent acquisition team, and I'm also a Spanish CMI interpreter myself. Now, here with me on camera, we have Sean, our wonderful CDI interpreter. Co-interpreter with Sean, we have Sasha, who's behind the scene, who's they're always a great help to me, and I wouldn't be able to do this without them. So really, to both, thank you very much. Remember, guys, this is a live show, so to the folks watching at home, we have a chat box. Please drop your comments, your questions. We would love to hear from you. People are always saying, how do we get in touch with you? How do we talk to the people at the recruiting department? Well, this is a live stream, so we're here to help. Now, today's topic, it's actually a very interesting one because we're always getting questions about how do we work with AMN? What does the recruiting process look like? What are the steps? So we are going to be tackling that today. The topic is navigating the hiring journey at AMN Healthcare. Now, for that, we're going to be going through a couple of things. The introduction, the qualification requirements, the application and the pre-screen, the language assessment, which is a very important part, the interview and equipment setup, the video remote interpreting training coursework, and final thoughts. Now, remember, to be able to work with AMN, you need to apply. So we're going to be reminding you how to apply. amnhealthcare.com/interpreters. Send your applications and a recruiter will get in touch with you. Now, to be able to handle this very extensive topic, I am not doing it myself. I have a great panel of guests who agreed to join us today. So let's bring them out. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here to join me today. You're all experts in your field, and we are very glad to have you. So let's meet you. Let's take a couple of minutes and go around the room so you can give your introductions. Hanan, why don't we begin with you? Tell me about yourself.
Of course. Hello, everyone. My name is Hanan Seidan, and I'm the testing manager at LanguageStat. I've been with the company for about 6 years, and I'm excited to be here today and to share a little bit more about our testing process and also hopefully answer some of your questions. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you for being here, actually. All right. Trishelle, tell me about you.
Good morning, everyone. It is such an honor to be here today. Now, before I introduce myself, I'd like to briefly introduce to anyone in the audience who may not be familiar with LanguageStat. So LanguageStat is a third-party testing agency, and we've been in the industry for a little over 10 years, and we specialize in language language skill testing. So now, in the context of AMN hiring process today, our role is to independently administer and evaluate interpreter assessments. So that means that we don't make hiring decisions. Instead, we focus solely on providing objective evaluations of interpreting assessments. Now, set aside, I've been with LanguageChat for a little over 7 years, and I started out as their Vietnamese tester. Now I serve as Vice President and Director of Operations. So this allows me to oversee many different areas of the business, anywhere from internal team hiring, training, linguist, recruitment, new client onboarding, customer service, fraud prevention. So I do wear many different hats, but I'm just happy to put on whichever hats the company needs on a given day. Thank you.
Of course, thank you. And yes, LanguageStat is a great collaborator with AMN, and we are very happy to have you both here. So thank you. Tolu, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tolu. I have been with AMN for 3 years. I actually started as a recruiter on the contracts team, but I am now serving as the supervisor for the talent acquisition contract side, and I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here as well. Elida, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Elida Garcia, and I'm a Spanish video remote interpreter at AMN Healthcare Language Services. I have been working as an interpreter for 4 years, and I have been with AMN for the past year and a half. I'm so happy to be here and I'm happy to be part of AMN as well. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you. We're happy to have you here as well, Alida. Thank you. Carlos, why don't you introduce yourself? Oh, we're not able to hear you, Carlos. I think you're on mute.
Oh, so sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Again, my name is Carlos Sanchez, and hello, good morning, everyone. I am currently the training manager for AMN Language Services, and I've been a Spanish interpreter for over 12 years now. 5 of those certified as a CMI, and I also have a background in translations, mostly pharmaceutical and clinical trials. I also have about 16 years of teaching experience, and I've been with the company since 2018, a total of 8 years as of tomorrow. I'm coming up on my 8 year anniversary, actually. And I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, congratulations on your work anniversary, which is very, very important. And we're very happy to have you as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amina, tell me about yourself.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. This is the first time participating on the show. I'm a native Brazilian, so I'm a Portuguese interpreter. I have been with AMN and I have been an interpreter for almost 2 years, and I'm in the path of becoming a certified medical interpreter.
Thank you for joining us, Nina. David, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is David Garcia. I'm a talent acquisition consultant. I've been with the company for 7 years on August 19. So I started as an OPR, then I've been moving with the company. So they're now 7 years, and now I'm a talent acquisition consultant.
Well, as you can all see, we have great representatives of all the fields required in the recruiting process. So thank you to all for being here today. We're going to start meeting the panel. So Elia, I would like to ask you a couple of questions. Like, what inspired you to become an interpreter?
That's a great question. Well, before I became an interpreter, I did not know that this was a career option for me where I live. But a friend of mine was a remote interpreter. She shared how much she enjoyed her job, and she explained what interpreters do and the important role they play in helping people communicate. So, hearing about this positive impact interpreters have in day to day interactions really inspired me. So, I love the idea of being able to help people communicate while also continuing to learn new things every day.
Thank you. Thank you. We have some people joining in from our chat, and we have Bakush9192 watching us from Nigeria. So that's very far away. So thank you, Bakush, for taking the time to join us this morning. And Carola Austin 5196 to Nina. Nina, I'm so happy and so proud to have you on my team. Congratulations, everybody. So yeah, thank you. Thank you. Tolu, let's talk to you. Can you share what you love most about helping interpreters land their dream job with us?
Sure. So, what I love most is the flexibility that contract work provides for interpreters. So many of our candidates reach out looking for something that works around their life. Maybe you're a parent who needs to be there for after school pickup, or you're caring for an elderly family member, or even if you're just a person who wants more control over your day. I love that our contract work gives people the option to get supplemental income and have something that works around their existing schedule.
Exactly. We're always trying to collaborate with everybody's life work balance, which is really important. So yeah, AMN it's very good at doing that actually. Nina, why don't you tell me why you chose to work in the medical field?
So I chose to work in the medical field because I wanted to make a meaningful difference in people's lives. In fact, that passion started actually when I was in high school during a career fair when I decided to pursue a bachelor's degree in physical therapy back in Brazil. Although my career eventually led me to medical interpreting, my goal has always been the same to help people. And as a medical interpreter, I may not be directly providing patient care, but I play an important role ensuring that all of the patients and healthcare providers can communicate clearly. I believe that the clear communication is essential to the quality of the healthcare, and I'm really proud to make them feel more confident and supporting during this stressful time.
Yes. The part of the interpreting, the role that you play, it's really, really important. Like you mentioned, you do help two people communicate, and it's pivotal. We have Tulsi who's saying that they applied about 6 months ago, and the recruiter that hired them never really like let them know if there was a job open or not. So for Tulsi, I would recommend that you contact your recruiter again. Things are constantly changing. Sometimes we have BRI open up, or we have freelance interpreters positions available. So everything is changing. But contact your recruiter. David, let's talk to you. How do you know when you found the right candidate for the job?
Well, first of all, we are looking for people like candidates, interpreters who are professional, who follows our ethics and the code of ethics, and people who can align their normal life to home office and a professional environment.
Okay, yes. And how do you know like when you found them? Do you see like, okay, this one fits all the criteria?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, when an interpreter applies, we search for certain things like we look at the resume that they have the specific experience we're looking for, that they have the knowledge on medical terminology, and they've been working for previous companies in the past, and they must have a good sense of communication. For AMN, communication it's basic. It's one of the most important things, and to be able to work in a team environment.
Yes. Thank you very much. Exactly. George View is asking the email to apply, please. Well, it's not so much an email, but we have a site, amnhealthcare.com/interpreters. So you can go ahead and apply. Let's talk about the qualification and the requirements, which is a really very big topic in itself. Elida, I don't know if you remember, but how did you go from being bilingual to working as a qualified medical interpreter? Because there is a difference.
Yes, of course. Well, I was bilingual and I decided to become a medical interpreter. So the first thing that I did was research to better understand what the role and the responsibilities of an interpreter as well. So that led me to read the Interpreter's Code of Ethics, and I learned about the standards of practice as well. And I also learned that you need to complete a medical interpreter training program. So I did. I found one and I completed one, and then I dedicated my time practicing my new interpreting skills as much as possible and reading more about the Interpreter's Code of Ethics as well. So, besides being bilingual, becoming a qualified medical interpreter requires training, requires practice, and also professionalism, strong communication skills, and also a commitment to continuous learning.
Yeah, and you had that because you went through all of that. And one of the things I always say, everything is online. Just Google for those 40-hour medical interpreter training courses. The Code of Ethics is online, so it's accessible for everybody. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Tolu, what are the qualification requirements for medical interpreters at AMN?
So for contracts, we need at least 6 months of interpreting experience in your language, preferably in a medical setting. We need 40 hours of medical interpretation training. We also need a passing medical language proficiency test in your language, as well as a HIPAA for business associates, which covers patient privacy and other federal laws that interpreters need to be aware of. Because this is a contractor role, we expect our interpreters to bring these qualifications themselves. And for some of our rare languages who do not have formal testing available, we do have more flexible paths. So that's something you can apply and learn more about if you have a language that doesn't have available testing. But once someone is qualified, we cover the costs of a background check as well as a drug screen. And at that point, once everything comes back to us, then they're qualified to gain access to our applications and begin that flexible work on the contract side.
Yes, and one thing to keep in mind is you can contact a recruiter, and the recruiter can also guide you, like do this, go here, do this test, because sometimes things change according to the language, so it's always good to get some guidance. But thank you. Um, Nina, when did you decide that you wanted to be a medical interpreter, and what training program did you complete? Like, how did you prepare for you to work as a medical interpreter?
So, when I first decided to become a medical interpreter, I did not complete a formal training right away. I first knew that I had a strong healthcare background. Since I mentioned I earned a physical therapy bachelor's degree from Brazil, I also had experience teaching English to speakers of other languages, and I worked for 2 years as a customer service of a healthcare clinic here in the US, where I gained experience interacting with patients and healthcare providers. Once I started with AMN, the train offered by AMN really was essential to teach me about the ethics, the standards of practice, cultural competency, and made me understand how important it is for me to really invest and intensify my studies. So after that, I started pursuing the 40-hour medical interpreter training, and of course as a preparation for the national certification, which hopefully I'll be certified in the next month.
Well, good luck. That's a tough test, so good luck to you. Thank you. David, let's talk to you. Like, what sort of experience are we looking for when it comes to candidates, and like they need to have completed that prior to coming aboard with us, and also what details should candidates include in their resume?
Okay, we are looking for at least, well, with 2 years of experience of interpreting, professional interpretation. Um, of course, this must include some medical terminology proficiency in both languages. So medical interpretation experience also. We need them to be, they have language proficiency in both languages. They must have accuracy in interpreting. They must be aware of the interpreter's ethics and industry standards. Of course, have a clear idea of all the what confidentiality means and cultural competence, including U.S. medical system knowledge. In terms of the resume, it is very important to have a professional resume, like include all your information, your name, your contact information, all your previous experience, and on that experience include month and year for each employer. This is important for us to have an idea of your experience and to match exactly what we need from you and what you can offer to the company. So that's the best way to do it. Always try to keep it clean. Don't make it like all together. Give it a good format and be professional when sending your resume. Your resume is your first face to the recruiting company. If your resume is not nicely presented, it talks about you. So the best letter of recommendation is your resume.
Exactly. It's like your professional presentation to AMN. And one important part about the resume, and you would be surprised, is the language pair. Sometimes they don't tell us which language they're speaking. So we're like, okay, but what language do you speak? So that's an important aspect to mention as well. Let's talk about the application and the pre-screen. So let's get into it. Like, what is exactly is the process about? Elida, how did you find the opportunity at AMN, and what was the application process like for you?
Well, after working as an interpreter for a couple of years, I decided that I wanted to explore new career opportunities. So during my job search, AMN Healthcare kept coming up as a company with a strong reputation, as a great place to work as well, and in a lot of networking platforms such as LinkedIn. So I finally decided to apply, and I did it through the AMN website, which you can see. And that application process was really smooth, it was straightforward. I answered a questionnaire first, and then I submitted my application along with my resume. And shortly after, I received a call from a recruiter who explained the position, the job expectations, the hiring process. So one thing that I really appreciated was how clear the process was, because I always knew what the next step was going to be and what to expect. So it was a great experience.
Oh, it's wonderful. First and foremost, that we have a good reputation going. It's always good to hear, so we appreciate that. And yes, recruiters are very good at helping candidates walk the whole hiring journey because it's good. It's good to be helped. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Tolu, when a candidate applies to a medical interpreter position, like what are the key pieces of information in their application that you look for before sending out the request to have a conversation or a pre-screen?
So we're always looking for real interpreting experience, especially in medical settings. We want to see proof that you can interpret accurately under pressure, that you understand that it's more than just speaking a language. It's about ethics, medical terminology, confidentiality, and staying neutral during emotional moments. A strong candidate for AMN demonstrates that they can be calm and accurate when it matters most. And we're looking for interpreters with the experience and instinct to serve our patients well. So we're always looking for that throughout our onboarding and recruitment process. And so we have things set up to identify that. And yeah, that's what we're looking for.
Yes, and you touched the topic. Bilingual does not necessarily mean that you can interpret. It's a little bit different. It is required, of course, but it's not necessarily. Bilingual person is not necessarily an interpreter. We have Benito Cabrera who says, hello, everyone. Good morning. Hello, Benito. Good morning from Mexico. And thank you for sharing such important information. They want to know how to maintain a healthy balance between emotional well-being and professional responsibilities during the medical video consultations. Like, how do you keep that going? Maybe one of our interpreters could take this. Like, Elida, do you want to take this question?
Yes, of course. Well, interpreting takes a lot of professionalism. So, one really important part of this is knowing that we are there to help people communicate. And the person who matters the most in our interactions is the patient and the provider. We are there as a communication support. So, keeping that in mind is really helpful to be able to maintain our professionalism and to also keep our emotions in balance. Also, try to do things outside of work that are good for mental health is really helpful, because being an interpreter is stressful sometimes, and we get to be in situations that are really stressful or sensitive for a patient.
Of course. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And it's all very true. Nina, thinking back to when you first applied, I know it's been a while, but what was the pre-screen like? And do you have any tips you'd like to provide our candidates to successfully pass this step?
Yes, exactly. It's been a while. So, from what I remember, the pre screen was a phone call, maybe about 10, 15 minutes. And it was mostly an opportunity to discuss the background, interpreting experience, and go over job details such as the available schedules at the time, the rates, and especially what to expect next in the hiring process. So, you're going to receive these and you should do these, and step by step detail on the next phase. One tip that I would like to give to the candidates is to prepare your questions, because at this moment isn't just for the company to ask us questions, but also for us, the the qualifying the candidates who are trying to, get the job, but also they want to know if it is something that fits for your career goals. So I would say that being prepared and show genuine interest in asking more details about the position would be a great tip.
Yes, of course. I mean, that's you have a recruiter on the phone. Make use of our guidance. Ask us those questions. We want to help everybody to really get through the process as flowingly as possible. So thank you for that. David, how does the pre-screen work? Like what is evaluated and how do you know that a candidate is qualified to move on to the next step?
Okay. Our pre-screen has changed during these years. So now we use a platform that includes two quizzes, one quiz for ethics and one for US medical system. This pre-screen has some specific questions regarding your experience, regarding your ability to communicate in your target language, and also we evaluate your screen presence. How professional are you when you're not in front of someone? Sometimes people change when you do a face-to-face interview, and they always straight, they always like behaving good. But when they do a video interview, like a recorded interview, everything changed. There are some people doing pre-screens on pajamas and things like that, and that is something that we don't want. People who cannot be professional in the process, during the hiring process. So we're looking for people who can be professional at all times and can complete all the oh, I forgot the word. I'm sorry. All the requirements for the job.
Yes, exactly. Be professional. It is a job interview. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. We have Tadis, who says that he speaks Amharic and Tigrinya, and Ebad is joining us from Pakistan. So thank you to both. And for Tadis, if you want to apply, again, amnhealthcare.com/interpreters. And you can send us the application. Well, let's talk about the language assessment. So Trishelle, let's go to you. Tell us about your role at LanguageStat and the operations you manage on a typical day. Like, what does that look like?
Of course. So now on the operations side, I lead our scheduling and testing departments. Now these teams are very much independent and experienced, but I'm there to provide additional guidance, maybe help streamline processes, remove some roadblocks, or even help guide them through any complex situations. So I work with them on a regular basis. I also work with our IT and our development teams, but more periodically, to ensure that whenever we have, let's say, a new platform, new tool, new system, new product, everything is designed especially for our needs and our operations, and that when it's implementation time, everything is implemented correctly and it doesn't affect any other existing areas of our operations. So my overall goal is just to ensure everything runs smoothly and that both our clients and candidates have a positive experience working with us. Now, one of the things that I love most about my job is that no 2 days are ever the same. One day I can be working very closely with our testing team. The next I can be onboarding a new client, or even in an IT meeting, listening to all their technical jargons. Now today is one great example. I'm here with the incredible AMN team, being on this live show and to share what we do and also hopefully provide some insights into our interpreter assessment process.
Yes, and thank you. Thank you for joining us today. And you guys are the expert because you are a very, very strong collaborator with AMN. And without you, you wouldn't be able to hire all the great candidates that we do.
Likewise, thank you.
Thank you, of course. Hanan, what led you to become a testing manager at LanguageStat?
Yeah, so as I previously mentioned, I've been with LanguageStat for about 6 years. I started out as a scheduler, and then after a few years, I traveled to the United States to get certified as an English Spanish medical interpreter. And then after gaining a little bit more experience in my work, I was promoted to testing manager. So today I oversees all the testing operations. This includes testing administration, grading, as well as quality assurance. And I also work closely with our scheduling team to help ensure that everything runs smoothly.
Thank you. Thank you. We have Kirenia, who's currently watching us from La Paz, Baja California Sur, Mexico. So thank you, Kirenia, for taking the time to join us. And to the folks at home, remember we have this chat, so keep the questions coming. That's why we're here for today. This show is for you. Let's get into the language assessment. So that's the tricky part, right? We have to test your medical interpreting skills. So Elida, I know it's been a while, but how did you prepare for the language assessment when you had to do it back in the day?
Well, I remember that I reviewed all of my notes from my interpreter training program, the one that I completed. I also took a lot of time to study my medical terminology glossary, and I practiced my listening and note taking skills as much as I could. And after that, I started practicing as well with interpreting scenarios that helped me a lot. So the fact that I got to prepare consistently helped me feel more confident so I could concentrate on the actual language assessment.
Yeah, those are great tips to practice those medical scenarios. Very good. Yes, everything. There are a lot of things online, like tutorials and YouTube videos, and of course, AI. Sometimes you can give them samples, and they can help you prepare. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Trishelle, what are the components of language stats interpreter assessment for entry level healthcare interpreters?
Oh, great. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to talk about our assessment. So, our interpreter assessment is a screening assessment. So, it is not an interpreter certification exams. So, its purpose is to evaluate whether a candidate has the foundational interpreting skills needed to be a healthcare interpreter. So that the two main areas in our assessment that we evaluate are accuracy and terminology. So for accuracy, it evaluates the candidate's ability to interpret or to act, or has the ability to accurately and completely convey or transfer the message between in healthcare or the English speaking provider and a non-English speaking patient. And now for terminology, it evaluates their ability to convert basic healthcare terminology in both languages. So these two areas are evaluated independently on our test. Now, our test takes about 15 to 20 minutes to complete, and it consists of 2 or 3 short role play scenarios. And these scenarios are everyday situations that an interpreter is most likely to encounter, such as an annual doctor visit or a follow-up, or a dialogue in the emergency room, or even as simple as a scheduling call from a doctor's visit or a doctor's office. Now, altogether, these scenarios contained about 300 to 400 words, including about 25 to 35 healthcare terms in these scenarios. And candidates are expected to use consecutive mode of interpreting, so no simultaneous interpreting. Now, they can use first person or third person interpreting on the test, although we prefer first person. They can ask for 1 repetition per line if needed. And lastly, transparency and interpreter protocol are not evaluated on our tests.
Okay, yes, we mentioned all very important aspects: terminology, accuracy, saying everything as complete as possible. So yeah, those are really important aspects as well. Nina, what do you wish you knew, like if you're thinking back now, before having taken the language assessment in the past?
One thing that is really important to mention, it's important for the audience to know, is there are 2 things that were perfectly covered both by Elida and by Trishelle, which one is all of your medical terminology, all of the information that you need to have, more than just, being bilingual, but have the medical terminology. And the second one is read all of the instructions carefully, such as how many times do you have for repetition that is going to be a consecutive kind of interpretation instead of a simultaneously. I remember making a few mistakes at first as I was getting used to how the platform works. So if you read and review how the test operates and you feel confident on your terminology, everything that you study, you would do fine. And more than that, is not only about having the terminology, but your ability to interpreter, have the right timing, the accurately, and communicate professionally in both languages.
Yes, yes, thank you very much. Hanan, Trishelle mentioned that earlier in this conversation that the assessment includes a sort of a role play. So can you explain a bit more about that? How does that work? And maybe provide a few samples to the audience. And I think I'm going to be helping you guys do it as well.
Yes. So the role play, we have the provider, which is the English speaking person or tester. And then we have the other language, which we will be presenting with Spanish. And then the role of the candidate is to interpret. So it's kind of a conversation. So the English speaker provider will say the line, and then the candidate will interpret, and then the Spanish speaking patient or the tester will respond in Spanish, and then the candidate will interpret that back into English. So we do have a little bit of a role play of an example. So Trishelle would like to be the English speaker, if that's okay. And then Natalia, if you could be the Spanish speaker as well, and then I will be the interpreter, which is the role of the candidate. And then I think, yes, there should be the first line for the English speaker.
Okay. Hola, necesito programar una cita para mi hija para su revisión anual.
Hello, I need to schedule an appointment for my daughter for her annual checkup. Okay, so that's...
Hello, thank you for calling Dr. Jones' office. How can I help you today?
Hola, gracias por llamar al consultorio del Dr. Jones. ¿En qué puedo ayudarle hoy?
Okay, what is her name and date of birth?
De acuerdo. ¿Cuál es su nombre y su fecha de nacimiento? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So that was a little bit of a simple example of how the tests are conducted. So the candidate's role is to interpret the conversation accurately and completely. And in this example, a term that we might be looking for is date of birth. So that's a term that the candidate needs to accurately interpret from both languages. So overall, it's converting the overall message as well as the terminology accurately between both languages. And thank you so much, Trishelle, as well as Natalia, for helping us with the little role play.
Of course, my pleasure. We did a good job. Thank you. Elena, let's go to you. Like any tips that you can provide for the audience to be successful in the whole recruiting process?
Of course. Well, I believe that practice really does make a difference. So my advice for the audience would be try to immerse yourselves in your second language as much as possible, even outside of work or study time if you can. One thing that I found useful was to listen to podcasts. For example, especially those related to healthcare, but you can also do it with things you personally enjoy, like watching a TV show or short videos. That works too. You can also, as I mentioned before, practice with interpreting scenarios. Those are great tools. They're available online in video or audio formats as well. And these resources will allow you to work on several skills at once because you're practically interpreting. So you're going to be practicing listening comprehension, note taking skills, medical terminology. And the more consistently you practice, the more confident you will feel when it's time for the test, the assessment. And then one extra tip that I have is to create your own glossary. So you can start adding the new terminology that you will learn along the way. And that is going to be useful not only for the assessment, but your everyday working as an interpreter too.
Yes, the tip about having your own glossary, it's the best thing. And I started as an interpreter myself, and I did that. Like you start little with stickies all over the place. And because I mean, only you know what you know, and only you know what you don't know. So in the end, it's very self-based. And along those lines, we have Mohammed Idris, who's watching us from Pakistan, who says that he had studied from Carol Schroeder, the Book of Medical Terminology. Yes, very valid. I mean, anything that has to do with healthcare and those medical specialties, it's a good asset. It's going to make you feel more confident when you're taking those calls. Yeah. Trishelle, let's go to you. Can you provide like a high level overview of the test process and the turnaround time?
Of course. So, as I mentioned earlier, LanguageStat is a third-party company. So our process doesn't really start until the moment we receive a request from AMN. So once we receive the request, our scheduling team then reviews it and to determine the appropriate test. We look at test type, language, test modality, etc. Here, Language Chat, we offer about 70 plus languages, and we offer two testing modalities, live and on demand. So depending on the modality, the protocol slightly is different. So when the request says is a live modality for the test, then our scheduling team coordinates with the candidate and our testers to set up an appointment. And in the appointment, the test is administered either via phone or via a secure video platform. So for phone, we have either, for live, we have either phone or video. Now, if the request says it's an on-demand test modality, then our scheduling team sends out an invitation email to the corresponding candidate. Now, in the email, the candidate can find information about the test, including the test instructions and a test link. So in this modality format, candidates can take their test at any time of their convenience, so no scheduling is required, no appointments needed, so they can take the test at any time. Now, regardless of the modality, once the test is completed, our grading process then begins. Every test is graded by a human tester, many of whom are experienced medical interpreters themselves. And then every grading also goes through an independent review process for quality assurance to ensure that every grading is aligned with our standard grading rubrics. And lastly, once everything is done, a formal test report is issued to the requesting agency, and again, in this case, that is AMN. Now, our turnaround time is about 5 to 6 business days from the day the test is completed, not the day the test is requested. We also offer expedited turnaround time, so that is 2 to 3 business days, so it's a little shorter. And again, 2 to 3 business days from the test completion date. So that is our whole process.
Yes, yes, and it's very thorough. And I have seen those reports, and they're wonderful because you can give great feedback to those candidates who really want to know, like, what do they need to brush up on? What do they need to do? How do I get this job? So yeah, you're really good at that. We have Hini Karuna saying that I failed the test the first time. Can I try once more? It really depends. Like, there is a waiting time for you to be able to reapply to work with us, but contact your recruiter. Again, there are the guiding spots for each one and every one of our candidates, and they do a very good job. And we have Genesis, who is saying that they're watching us currently from Querétaro. So thank you very much. All right, Nina, let's go to you. How do you brush up on your medical terminology prior to taking the language assessment?
So since I had extensive experience with both medical terminology in Portuguese and working as a customer service in a healthcare facility, I was used to the pace and what kind of questions and communications, the type of interaction that normally happen on a healthcare facility in the US. What I was not so used to was the dynamic of having an interpreter, a third person. So to brush up for the terminology and get myself more prepared for the test, I just look it up, mock um, healthcare interactions with an interpreter. You can find several short videos or either audios or podcasts where you would be able to listen to it in one language, have the time to interpret and practice, and as well interpret it. While I was doing all of this, I was building up my glossary, which was a great suggestion given by the recruiter with all of the paperwork that I received on my email. There was some few terms and the columns right next to it for me to put on Portuguese, my native language. So as I would listen to all of those videos and audios to practice my interpreting skills, I was building my glossary. So those were the things that I did to brush up my vocabulary.
You did a great job because you're here with us. So you passed the test. And yes, practice, practice, practice. It cannot do anything less than that. Hanan, what tools do candidates need to take the on-demand test? Like, and what is considered a passing score?
Of course. So candidates will need an electronic device. They can use their smartphones, although we highly recommend using a laptop and a desk computer. They will also need to use headphones or earphones, a pen and paper for notes, and also, this is very important, a reliable high-speed internet connection. For this test, we actually don't allow electronic notepads or taking notes on the computer. So it is very important that candidates have their own paper and a pen or pencil ready for the test. Candidates should also be alone and in a quiet environment so they can complete the assessment without any type of interruptions. As for the passing score, since LanguageStat is actually the third-party testing company, we don't determine the passing score ourselves. The required score is set by the company that the candidate is applying to interpret for. Since every client has a different standard, the passing score depends on the client's requirement. In this example, it would be for AMN. With that said, we do recommend a passing range, which is 75% or 80% or above for both accuracy as well as terminology, which are the two main components for our assessments.
Exactly. And for that passing score data, again, your recruiter. I keep telling everybody to contact their recruiter because they know what's going on. They know the spots that we have available and they can guide you. Alice Chip Korimq is asking whether the address will guide for them to be able to join. And yes, again, amnhealthcare.com/interpreters. Send your application and a recruiter will contact you. And Mohammed says that he applied many months ago, but has not heard back. Sometimes we have a lot of applications and we go through them as openings open up. And maybe because of your language fair, we currently don't have anything available. But again, you can send your application again and we will get to you as well. So let's get into the interview and the equipment setup. So that's another process. We're moving forward with the whole recruiting process and the journey. So for that, Elida can help us. Like after you did and you passed the language assessment and you went through the final interview, do you remember what that was like for you?
Yes, of course. So after passing the language assessment, I received a call to schedule my final interview. I was a little bit nervous, to be honest, but when the interview started, the interviewer was so professional and welcoming, and that helped me feel comfortable and reassured throughout the interview. So we talked about professional expectations, we talked about best practices, and also about the interpreter's code of ethics, which is really important. It was like a 40-minute meeting, and it was a very good experience.
Well, we're glad that you were able to consider it a good experience. And yes, we usually try to keep it very light, but you are right. The code of ethics, it's the backbone of the interpreting career. So a knowledge of that is really, really, really in high demand. And for that, David, it's the expert. So David, let's talk about the final interview. What is the format of the final interview? And if you could tell us what is covered.
Okay, the final interview, it's a live recorded interview. During this interview, we go ahead and review again all your information, your legal name, and your pronouns, and we go and review all about your experience. And one of the most important things that we check on this, it's your performance, how well you explain yourself, like how fluid you are, your fluency, your language, how well you can be in front of the camera, how you react to certain kind of questions, and yeah, that's basically how the final interview works.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Like we want to know, like, what would you do if this happened? What would you do if that happened? In the end, we want to see how would you do the job. So yeah, it's very common sense and it's very straightforward. And David does the final interview and he's very good at it. So yeah, you're in good hands. Nina, let's talk about how did you prepare yourself for the final interview? And I don't know if you have any tips or anything like that that you can provide the audience so that they can take this important step.
Yeah, so to prepare for the final interview, I took some time to learn more about AMN and review the role and the ethics and the standards of practice of a medical interpreter. So I could explain my experience and why I was interested in this position. I also reflected on my healthcare experience and thought of some examples about good communication skills, professionalism, and the ability to work under pressure. I clearly remember that there were some questions about working under pressure, and this is something that, like I said, on my um, educational background, my bachelor's degree, and my professional life in physical therapy, I had several opportunities to work under pressure, being in emergency rooms, ICUs, and all of those situations. So, as an interpreter, I'm doing a different role, but still present in this kind of situations. My biggest tip is prepare as much as you can, be yourself, be confident. It's a conversation for you to show a little bit about yourself in the most professional way, and as well for you to get some more information and opportunity to ask questions in this last step.
Yes, great way to phrase it. Exactly. It's just a conversation where we want to learn about you and get to know each other and just learn about your medical interpreting experience. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. David, like, how do you determine that a candidate is ready for the next step? Like, once you've done the interview, and what happens next? Like, what's the
Okay.
next?
First of all, each candidate is evaluated objectively. We do it in a fair and consistent way. After the final interview, we need to review everything on the file, like from the experience, how the resume is presented, and everything on the experience and all of that. So we need them to be the person we need, like be professional, be consistent, be aware of the code of ethics, that to follow the code of ethics, and to be fully aware that an interpreter it's a conduit. It's a bridge of communication that you cannot put your thoughts or your ideas during a session. So we must ensure that the interpreter will interpret everything what's been here and render that to the patient or the LP. So during this final interview, we make a lot of questions regarding the code of ethics, how will they react, or what will they do in case of something like this happen. So based on all those answers and the presentation, is like when we decide it moving to the next step. Then we will provide a final, start date for training. That it's very important to understand that training started is different from your online starting. So training started has a different schedule. Training hours has a different schedule from your regular schedule most of the times. So you have to make all the arrangements needed for you to take training. So then we will send you the equipment. Before that, we're going to send you the equipment. You need to set up everything on your office, and then you can move forward to office verification, that the team will verify everything on your equipment and everything is working fine. And then you move forward to the training.
Thank you. And we have actually a little video. We have Carla, who is an office verification coach. So she's the expert because she does this every day. And she was a guest actually on our last live show. So thank you, Carla, for joining us by video. But she's going to explain how once a candidate sets up their equipment, like how does the office verification work. So let's hear from Carla.
Our office verification team will send an introduction email to our interpreter, and it'll list all of the requirements that are needed. It'll guide you through how to set up your computer and what number to call for our tech team. You can reply to that email and send in your video to us. We'll review the video. If for some reason you're having issues sending in the video, we can always schedule a Teams call with you, and we can do the office verification through that. We review the video and we will email you back with any changes or any little tweaks that need to be made to your office space. We always give you any feedback that is needed, and we're always here to support it.
Yeah, that's a very good explanation. And really the process in itself, it's very straightforward. We're working from home, which is a wonderful thing, but we still need some requirements to be able to do the job. So that's really what's expected. All right. Well, thank you. Let's have Carlos come and join us.
All
Um,
right.
Thank you, Carlos. Can you tell us a bit more about your role as a training manager at AMN Healthcare?
Sure thing. As a training manager at AMN Healthcare Language Services, I have the honor and the privilege of leading a team of extremely talented training consultants, all with strong interpreter backgrounds in languages like Spanish, ASL, and Vietnamese. Our focus is helping interpreters build the skills, confidence they need to succeed. We deliver programs, we support new and experienced interpreters, and we also work behind the scenes to ensure that the training we present or we deliver stays relevant, engaging, and effective. I think one of the best parts of my role is knowing that the work we do helps people communicate during some of the most important and sensitive moments in their healthcare journey. And for me, it's rewarding to also see interpreters grow and make a real difference in the lives of patients and providers each and every day.
Yes, yes, and you guys do a very good job. Like we have all the newbies come in and you do the training and then you get them ready to take those calls. So we appreciate that as well. So let's get into it once more about the video remote interpreting training coursework. So for that, we have Elida. And I'd like to ask you, like thinking back, and I keep telling you this, back in the day, when you went through the whole VRI training coursework, what was your biggest takeaway?
Well, my biggest takeaway was understanding what it's like and what it takes to succeed as a medical video remote interpreter at AMN. The training was very comprehensive. It didn't just teach me how to use the interpreter workstation and the platforms that we use, but it also reinforced the importance of professionalism, the importance of quality, and the compliance of the interpreter code of ethics, the standards of practice as well in every interaction that we have. There were also courses about privacy practices and professional expectations, workplace setup as well, how to show up on camera. There were even courses about the human body. So everything that I needed to know to be able to provide high quality interpreting services at AMN was there. And what really stood out for me was how supported I felt throughout the whole training. I had experienced training specialists available to guide me, to answer questions, and to help me build the confidence before taking live calls. Actually, Carlos was one of the training specialists when I first started. And well, by the time that I completed the coursework, I felt really prepared to begin interpreting and made the transition into my new role so much smoother.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And it's true. Carlos and his team do a wonderful job. So thank you, Carlos. I'll ask you a couple of questions. What is exactly covered in this video remote interpreting training coursework that you guys give out?
Okay, without getting into specifics, our VRI training is designed to help interpreters, first of all, feel comfortable in a video remote setting, while as well as feeling confident. We cover a wide variety of training types, all centered around the learner, right? That's key for us. In VRI, we cover industry compliance courses like HIPAA and the use of the platform, but we also touch on important subjects like interpreting for refugees and how those interactions differ or are different from a regular session. We consider ourselves a customer centered team, meaning that our customer service is a vital part of what we do. So much so that in training, we actually have a saying, and this has been going on for the longest time, ever since before I arrived. And when an interpreter first joins us, we always like to say, you are our customer, and everyone who isn't you is your customer. This includes your coaches, your managers, and colleagues alike. The training, it's very hands-on and focuses on the practical application. Our training includes the kinesthetic component, which gives interpreters the opportunity to take live sessions all while in training, right? And this is some of the things that can bring fear to us, right? But the good thing is you get an opportunity to take live sessions while being supported by a training consultant who is highly qualified and supportive each and every step of those sessions.
Yeah, and again, it's one of the cultures of AMN. Like you have somebody there always with you to help you. You have the recruiter, then you're gonna have the assessment people, then you're gonna have the training department. There's always somebody out there that's gonna lend a hand. And Carlos mentioned something very important. Like we're all each other's customers because that is the way we treat each other with a lot of respect. So thank you, Carlos, for sharing that. That's really important. Um, Nina, what was the most important thing you learned while you were doing the video remote interpreting training?
So, since I did not have a professional experience as a medical interpreter before joining AMN, the VRI training was essential for me. And the most valuable part was learning about the ethics and the standards of practice. And I really appreciate AMN for giving me a chance to use all of my background experience to become an interpreter and prepare me for that. So I really appreciate the opportunity. During the whole training, besides what Elida and Carlos mentioned, I really understood the essential role as an interpreter to remain accurate and impartial. I remember I heard that as an interpreter, we are a mirror. And a mirror, we do not add or change anything. We just show things as they are. And having this so part of my brain made me remain neutral and professional in every kind of interpretation session that I participate on my day to day. So the training helped me facilitate. And as I learned that is my role and what is expected from me, I became confident when I was ready to join my first live session.
Wow, that was good. And you're doing a very good job. So thank you. We have Abner Arauz who's wanting to know if you guys are hiring for Spanish. It really depends on where you're located. Send your application. Our recruiter will contact you and we will see what's available at the time. Again, things change all the time. We also have Alice Chep Cody Macau. Thank you so much for the response and general guidance from the team. Of course, that's what we're here for. Remember, this is a live show. This is for you guys, direct contact and connection to AMN. So that's why we do this for you guys. And Natalie Harqual says that she has applied and gotten no response. Natalie, I would recommend that you send your application again. I don't know when was the last time you applied, but again, send it back in and a recruiter will contact you. Elia, tell us a bit about the classroom setting when you were doing the training. Do you remember what that looked like?
Yes, of course. So the coursework began with all of the new hires meeting together in a Zoom session. And after the training specialist welcomed us and gave an introduction, we were divided into breakout rooms. And there was a training specialist there with us, guided us, and they guided us through the whole training coursework. We had to complete a series of self-paced courses, and then after that, there was also like a final office verification, and there was also a meeting, a one-on-one session with a training specialist where I got to practice how to use the interpreter workstation, and I even got to practice my scripts. I received some great tips and feedback as well. And once I felt ready, I started taking my calls, my first calls. And I was really confident because I knew that experienced trainers and interpreters were available for support if I needed assistance. And then at the very end of the training, I met my manager and he explained what working at AMN looks like, which made this transition into my new team feel very welcoming.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing it. And it's good to know that it was very welcoming for you. We try to do that always. And Carlos does a great job also with your team. Carlos, tell me about how are the candidates evaluated and how do they pass the course?
So more of what success looks like. Well, throughout the training, candidates have several opportunities to practice their skills and demonstrate what they've learned in the VRI training program. Interpreters are also tasked with completing knowledge checks after most of the online courses. But besides course completion, we look at things that are also highly important, like participation, professionalism, communication skills, and the overall readiness to work in a live environment. More than anything, I think we're looking for growth and the ability to apply what was learned during training. We want to ensure candidates finish the program feeling prepared, confident, and ready for success.
Thank you, thank you. And yes, of course, this is a job where communication is key. So you need to be able to do this and do so on camera. You were like we're doing it today. So very good job. Nina, how did the VRI training help prepare you to go live on the AMN video interpreting platform?
The training completely made me feel comfortable when it was my time to interpreter because with all of the classes and all of the steps, I knew exactly what to expect whenever I opened the platform, all of the buttons and how to find um, phones to dial, send messages as we transfer sessions, for example. So I knew exactly what to expect whenever joining there. I was able to just focusing on my role, which is providing accurate professional interpreting to patients and healthcare providers.
Thank you, Nina. Well, we're wrapping up, so let's have final thoughts from all the guests over the panel. And Elida, once you got through the video remote interpreter training coursework, like what was that like for you to like, okay, I'm now a member of AMN. What did that look like for you?
That's a great question. So, one thing that I would like to emphasize is how the training was so good that it prepared me really well, that by the time I started taking calls, I felt confident instead of overwhelmed. So that preparation really helped ease the nervousness that often comes with starting a new job. I also had a very positive experience with my team leads and my manager. They've always been supported from the very beginning and willing to answer questions and assist me whenever I needed guidance. But again, the training was so comprehensive, and we are given a lot of tools and resources. So most of the information that we need is already readily available. So one other thing that I think it's great is being able to connect with fellow interpreters, because even though we work remotely, there is this strong sense of teamwork and support, and that makes working at AMN feel collaborative and enjoyable too.
Exactly. And you mentioned something that's very important. There's like team leads, and there's your manager and quality assurance and all your colleagues, and you are in constant communication with everybody. So you're not alone. So we always help you do the job. So that's an important part of being an AMN employee. Thank you. Tolu, like, what is your last piece of advice for candidates who are interested in working for AMN?
So I would say it's really important to stay responsive through your application process. The candidates that I remember were constantly in touch with me, reaching out to see if we had any new openings. Contracts is very different than VRI. Our needs can change month to month. So the individuals who are always reaching out are top of mind for the recruiters, and that can help you to secure a spot more quickly. Secondly, I would say that you shouldn't count yourself out. If you're missing like a 40-hour training or a language proficiency assessment, that's fine. We can help guide you through the best path for you, so that you can become qualified and meet the requirements that we have. So apply, connect with a recruiter, and continue to stay in touch so that once we have something available in your language pair, we can reach out and place you in a spot as quickly as possible.
Yes, engagement. We really like that as recruiters. And yes, amnhealthcare.com/interpreters to be able to apply and contact a recruiter at some point. Nina, can you share a moment from an interpreting session when you felt like you were working at the right place?
Yes, there are so many moments as an interpreter that I feel like oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I'm here. This is such a stressful moment. There is so much going on. And without an interpreter, the family, the LEP would be completely um, not able to understand the situation. But what I would like to bring is some of the sessions that are more challenging. I feel like they are more meaningful, especially we know there are so many people that come to the US without knowing the language, but on the other hand, their kids have the opportunity to go to school and be completely fluent. Some are native speakers in English. So those sessions when we have maybe a teenager, a younger adult, who is the patient and a parent who needs to be there as the responsible one do not communicate. So I feel like it can be challenging because sometimes the minor wants to communicate straight with the medical provider, but the parent needs to be part of the discussion. So, as an interpreter, it's so good to be able to give voice and ears to this LEP who is this parent. On the other hand, sometimes we have so many extensive sessions, and it's so meaningful when the team lead come and send us a message and say, hey, is everything okay? I appreciate you staying on this extended session. Let me know if you need anything. So those things make me feel really good about the job that I do and the place that I work.
Thank you, thank you. And yes, you're supported throughout the whole process, so that is wonderful. David, final thoughts from you. Can you share a breakthrough moment when you felt like, yes, this is the candidate for the job?
Okay. So there's been so many moments like that.
Yeah.
But let me remember one. Okay. There was this candidate uh, from the moment he joined the interview, he was all like, I'm gonna say it like this. He was all perfect, like perfect posture. He was all professional, well dressed, and he was always maintaining a professional demeanor. He maintained always good eye contact during the interview. Each response was direct, was straight to the point. Was exactly what I needed to hear, not because I wanted to hear it, but what I needed to hear. And at the end, he was really thankful for the opportunity, saying like, "Thank you very much for this opportunity. Even if I don't get it, it was great going through this process. I've met a lot of people, and it was an amazing experience." So, like for question 3 or 4, I said like, "This person's going to be great asset for the company, and he could even be a supervisor one day."
Wow, great story. And it's good that you were there to be able to recognize. And yeah, it has to be a good fit, right? I mean, not only do candidates want to work with us, but we also want to work with you. So it has to match for us both. Trishelle, final thoughts from you. In your opinion, what is the most important skill that language stat test assesses?
Okay, well, thank you. As we know, this panel have shared that it takes a lot. It takes a lot of skill, commitment, and preparation to become an interpreter. So now, as far as our test is concerned, if I had to choose just one skill, I would say being accurate in your interpretation. Now, that applies to both the overall message and also terminology, right? Because healthcare interpreting, and again, I'm driving home once more, that healthcare interpreting is so much more than just being bilingual, right? It's about faithfully communicating everything that is said without adding, omitting, or changing any information. And even the smallest omission or misinterpreting can affect a provider's clinical decision making or a patient's understanding of their diagnosis or treatment. And now, medical terminology is critically important because as we know, healthcare has its own specialized terminology or vocabulary, and interpreters not only need to know those terms in both languages or even sometimes in 3, 4 languages, depending on how many they speak or interpret, but also need to accurately interpret them in real time. So now, once we combine both two skills, accurately conveying the overall message and also converting healthcare terminology. We create safer and more clearer communication between patients and healthcare providers, which is the ultimate goal of every medical interpreter.
Yes, exactly. And you mentioned the terminology, and it is a part of healthcare. There's no way around it. Doctors, that's why they study for many years to learn all the medical specialties and all the terminology. So we need to be able to interpret alongside them. So it's required. And I think that once you actually invest in learning those little words and the acronyms and all of that, you're going to feel, again, more secure when you're taking the call, and it's just going to make everything flow much more. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that as well. Hanan, last piece of advice from you. What do you think would help candidates ace their language assessment?
Yeah, so my biggest piece of advice would be to review the invitation email that we send out before taking a test. It actually includes several helpful preparation materials, such as information on what to expect during the test, healthcare terminology workbook, and as well as guidance on how to use the on-demand testing platform. So I would encourage candidates to go through those resources so they can become familiar with the platform, and as well they can strengthen their healthcare terminology. I would also recommend to watch interpreting videos and to practice beforehand as much as possible. And finally, just remember to take a deep breath, stay confident, and also trust your preparation.
Yeah, great tips. Yes, and there's a lot of information online, like Google, medical interpreting, consecutive interpretation. You're going to come across a lot of things that might help you in your road to becoming a medical interpreter with us. So Carlos, final thoughts from you. What do you wish all candidates knew before commencing the video remote interpreter training with us?
That's a good question. Honestly, I'd like to tell them to relax and trust the process. A lot of people, as Elita mentioned, we come in, excuse me, feeling overwhelmed, feeling anxious, feeling really worried about joining, starting a new job or a new training, basically, and also making mistakes or feeling like they need to know everything right away. That's not necessarily the expectation. Training for us is a place to learn, practice, ask questions, and build confidence. As we know, we're experienced interpreters as well, and interpreting can be challenging, but you're not alone. You will be supported every step of the way with us.
Thank you. Yes, and it's very important to enjoy what you do. So
Mhm.
it is a great tip. We all need to relax and enjoy the ride. And again, you're going to be supported throughout the whole process, which is a wonderful thing. So that brings us to the end of our show today. I really do want to take some time to thank each and every one of you for joining us. You're all experts in your field, and you took a good time of your morning to be here and help me and help AMN give all the adequate information to our candidates who are constantly looking to answer for all these questions. So thank you very much. I really do appreciate each one of you for being here. Now to Sean and Sasha, you guys, you helped me so much. I thank you. Thank you very much. And to our viewers at home, remember this is a live show and we come here once a month. We're going to be seeing you the third Wednesday of August. And please take some time to join in, ask questions, drop the comments, and we're here to help. So thank you. It's been a pleasure. Have a good day.